Welcome back for Game 3, where TSM will be facing off against 100 Thieves. First, let's take a look at the tough situation TSM are in when it comes to a quest for a playoff spot by taking a look at the standings.
Yeah, the Optic win at the start of the day over Echo Fox puts TSM in a very difficult situation because now they are actually a win out of playoffs. So they have to win that one. They play Optic as their first game next week, but the other two teams they play are 100 Thieves and Team Liquid. So they are in a very difficult situation. They don't want to give all the control to Optic in the fact that if Optic just wins against 100 Thieves as their final game.
Right.
Because it's most likely going to come down to Optic and TSM for that final spot.
Yeah, both of them had to play the top 3 teams in the league, and with Optic picking that win up before, both of them went 0-2 against those, and TSM picked the win up. They're just ahead of them in standings. Optic won the first match against TSM, so now TSM, if both of them lose the hard games remaining, will force a tiebreaker that they'll have to take next week, but we'll have to see how that goes, because first, they got 100 Thieves.
Exactly. A lot of things to consider when it comes to the standings themselves, but as you mentioned, you got to take it game by game, and first up, they have to take on 100 Thieves. Now, earlier, we did do a dueling draft between these guys, so I want to recap how it played out and the team comps that you guys ended up with.
Yeah, and Jat hit me with the blue side, Kindred Zillion, which heading into it today, only C9 had done. We saw Optic kind of get it on red side by putting the Zillion actually support. And one of the things that I did accidentally was mirror a very similar comp that FLICKR played against Gen G last night, where they actually put the Varus in the mid lane and put the Swain in the bot lane, and the Varus poked out the Zillion. So I subconsciously just, I have so much knowledge.
Brilliance. Yeah,
so much knowledge in here. Sometimes it takes a little bit to bubble up to the top. I was like, why was this draft so good to me? It's like, because I can flex the Varus mid.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually relatively happy with my draft. I wasn't happy with the Nocturne ban at the very end. I was going to be banning like maybe Rakan or maybe a Zoe at some point to kind of choke out the first picks. I also thought there was a chance that I'd first pick a Kali because he would be banning Kindred. But because those things didn't happen, I ended up just deciding to go with the C9 combo is what we're calling it, and that's a pretty strong strat.
Yeah, and it's tough to know because, we've seen Bjergsen and Zillion before, but Greg, I think, has like 1 game on Kindred, and Blabber has this like really aggressive jump-in style, and that feels like the catalyst for the comp to run. So it's tough to know exactly what to do on red side because there's so many options available for blue side. I thought we would be playing more of like a Zoe versus Syndra versus potentially Taliyah gameplay.
Well, and that's the important caveat to all of this, is there's a very high likelihood that this is not the draft that we end up with. And so what we have to consider outside of this suggestion, per se, is what are the actual strengths and weaknesses of these teams as they match up against each other? And, again, I think a lot of people immediately will jump to 100 Thieves and looking at Someday, one of the big names in that conversation for MVP.
Exactly. I predicted 100 Thieves to win this game. And a lot of that is because of Someday and having the red side counterpick, but more of it actually just has to do with how good they are in the mid and late game, not succumbing to other teams' aggression and also making the right level of proactive plays. And the fact that we oftentimes call 100 Thieves like a better version of Clutch, right? They're just faster at doing a lot of what Clutch does. TSM can't even beat Clutch most of the time, right? So they struggle with that team. So I think they should struggle even more mightily against 100 Thieves unless TSM is actually able to reach that potential we've been talking about for 6 months. But until they do, I think I need to just stop predicting it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? We've talked about kind of the aura around TSM and still wanting to extend them that benefit of the doubt, but it's probably about time to remove that and say, hey, prove it to us. Now let's remember the last time that these teams faced off against each other. It was at the depths of a TSM slump, and specifically around their perceived inactivity as a team.
Yeah, this was a game where both teams played funnel, but TSM had side lane pressure and then the Taliyah and Alistar, so that kind of telegraphs like we want to push in the side lanes and have this dive. And TSM never dove. They got their early leads through the fact that they had winning lanes, and then slowly over the course of the game, 100 Thieves came back into it.
Yeah, and it was also a game where TSM was playing Heimer Fiddle, so a huge stretch outside of their normal champion pool. That stuff's not going to happen in this game.
Right.
Sven and Mythi are back on marksman and tank support, which is where they should be most comfortable. And even yesterday, TSM did go for a lane dominant strategy, which was refreshing to see out of TSM because that's when they were at their best. That being said, they were really only lane dominant mid. Hunter lost top lane until later on, where he was able to get ahead via team fighting. So they're still not quite at that same level, and it's going to be tough.
But 2 of their most recent wins, both against CLG yesterday and Golden Guardians last
Yes.
week did come from kind of that more lane dominant style out of the solo laners, building advantages and pushing forward. So if there is an argument for TSM showing up today, it would be around activity and not this inactivity that we saw the last time they met.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where, all right, our teamwork is struggling to find proactivity, but let's at least give each player their own agency to be active, and that seems to have been working for them a little bit better right now.
Of course, the odds are still stacked against them, or rather in favor of 100 Thieves, who have already clinched a playoff spot. And so really, at this point, it is about the cleanliness around which they enter the playoff postseason.
And we heard Afro talking about how their scrims are still a little tense and frustrating, and so it feels like they are still very focused on cleaning up their games, especially on stage. So I don't think this is a kind of like, we clinched playoffs, let's go around and have some fun kind of attitude.
Yeah.
100 Thieves feels like the exact opposite.
It's strange. It's almost like a fact of life for me now that 100 Thieves is going to talk about the tough scrims they had after a win on the
Every
LCS
time,
stage.
right?
Yeah.
Because they were pretty dominant in their victory over Echo Fox. Now, you can couch that excitement with how Echo Fox looked today and how they don't quite have their
Makes it less
strategies
impressive almost,
assembled
yeah.
yet. It makes it a little less impressive. But Anda actually had a particularly good game, partially because he had a counter pick. He had Poppy into Lee Sin, which is a very strong choice. But the fall off that a lot of people were expecting when Meteos was traded for Anda hasn't really happened. I'm very impressed with the 100 Thieves team as well as Anda to look as the same as they did when you're replacing a talented jungler like Meteos with Anda.
I know we've brought this up multiple times, but I do think it is worth re-hitting. When 100 Thieves looked their best in the spring split, Cody Sun was a top performer for the team, specifically on marksman. Again, the 8-15 changes have only, added to or buffed those crit marksmen. And so I'll be interested to see, after a 4-1-9 performance on Xayah yesterday, how he shows up again today and whether or not the team continues to index towards putting resources into their AD carry in those slower paced games.
Yes, and they never stopped letting Cody Sun be successful on AD carry. They just put him mid lane when Funnel and all the mages were bottom lane, and now they can just do the normal stuff again. He's still the kill leader of North American LCS AD carries. He's still the DPM leader of North American LCS AD carries. A lot of that is because he got to play the funnel games when everyone else was mucking around with all this weird stuff.
Yeah.
But they technically should be quite comfortable in this game state right now.
All right, well, we're heading into Champion Select, so as we're the ones who did the dueling draft,
Well, that's different.
we get to go ahead and
That's my favorite one. Instantly wrong.
Not exactly how we played it, and the
So-
Aatrox band comes through.
One of the things that 100 Thieves always seems to do on red side is this kind of Aatrox, Rakan, and then they leave Nocturne for the last one. But with TSM grabbing the Rakan ban themselves, I'm going to be interested to see how they adapt, because I ended up going for a Zoe pick when you took my Rakan, or you took my Nocturne
So
ban.
here's the thing, because this is why I was going to ban Rakan, and why I was
Zoe.
surprised when you did it, is because there's so many viable first picks for TSM that they don't want to give up Xayah Rakan, since Cody Sun is undefeated on Xayah this split, whether it's funnel or whether it's bot lane. So that's why I didn't expect it to happen, since 100 Thieves, I think, should be spending more of their bans on first pickable champions.
So TSM is more okay with letting the Xayah portion of that duo through in a trade for what they prioritize.
Yeah, everyone prioritizes the Rakan ban over the Xayah ban.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me was that 100 Thieves, despite having 5 games on Rakan, was still banning it red side every time.
What is that ban? My eyes are...
It's an
That's
Akali.
Okay, my eyes
The new
are so poor.
It's the new Splash Art. Didn't you study it?
So I am surprised that TSM did this, because Bjerg has put in more Akali games than Ryu, and just scouting solo queue looked to be more successful on it. And this also allows 100 Thieves to still ban Kindred, which to me would have been the TSM first pick.
Well, they do prefer the Nocturne ban, but I actually like this a lot. This was one of the things I was debating doing.
Whoa.
Braum, okay. It's all about bot lane.
That makes sense. One thing I was going to say is the lack of jungle focus in this draft in particular makes sense to me, because Grig is not the threat on TSM. And when
He's not Blabber.
Yeah, it's not Blabber. It's not some of these other guys in the league like Dardoch and stuff. And so when I was prepping for the draft, was debating whether or not I should keep doing some of their jungle focus bans, knowing that I'm not going up against the priority jungler. I did that, but it's good to see 100 Thieves, making sure they're aware of who they're playing against.
Now, that said, the Braum does come through, a favorite of Mythi's, and usually we like to see that paired with the Varus. We'll see if that comes through for Sven as well. Kindred, though, picked up for Anda, 100 Thieves, so maybe we'll see something kind of spicy over here.
Yeah, I mean, if you were in the situation, Mark, with the dueling drafts, what are you taking? Because it's really wide open. Tom Kench is still available, but...
So I was going to talk maybe about Tom Kench, because I don't want to...
Afro hasn't played at this split, which is why
He hasn't played this split, but it's still a strong pick, and often what's taken into the Braum, especially if you're going to go for some standard bot lanes and you get into like the Varus Ashe matchups. I was going to go support either way there just because you don't want to get pinched, because TSM's going to have to grab something that's going to tip a little bit more of their hand, and then you want to have that free space to react. So you want to grab and start matching roles a little bit there, so you match the support pick.
So in our dueling draft, TSM was the team that ended up with the Kindred, and Mark, you had taken the Gragas in response, but you flipped the script.
We're basically on the other side of the draft right now.
As soon as Mark took Braum Varus, I was like, well, if you didn't take that, I definitely would have taken it. Because bot lane was one of my goals going into the draft. I just changed it during the draft for different picks, but I like what TSM is doing here. It's securing that team fight presence, since a lot of 100 Thieves games go down to team fights. The question to me now is going to be whether or not 100 Thieves tries to opt into that same strategy, or if we go 1-3-1, since the solo lanes are completely undecided.
And TSM has also bought themselves a counter pick for one of their solo lanes by picking jungle and bot lane here. So while on blue's side, if we talk about one of the things that TSM needs to be successful is some solo lane pressure or a win. They have at least the opportunity to do that here.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised that, once again, I guess, like you said, Afro is just completely opposed to the Tahm Kench, because I think that's a lot better of a pick with the Ashe that we've seen before. And once again, it was pretty obvious that you were going to end up in this Varus Ashe matchup.
Yeah, Ryze, Talia, Fizz, LeBlanc. There's a lot of mid laners that are still up in the air.
With only 3 bans.
It's interesting the 100 Thieves banned the Nard. That was my pick for Hauntzer as a blind top laner in our dueling draft, so I do like that ban since it's one of the safest things.
And I would like to see maybe some blind mid lane bans here, like that Ryze that
by
you're
TSM.
Yeah.
Oh, they banned top lane.
This also makes sense too if you're trying to ban out the potential counter pick, because you know 100 Thieves is going to do one of the blind mids, and maybe there's too many you feel like that they can go with between Ori, Ryze, some other things.
Yeah, Jad,
if they ban Gnar, there's a chance they want to just blind pick Cho'Gath for team fighting.
Or potentially GP, if that's what you feel like they're going to counter with.
And it's important to note that those first 3 picks for TSM were 3 picks that they played yesterday. They also played Gnar and Syndra paired with those. So the Gnar, as you mentioned, off the table. Syndra was off the table in the first ban phase. So we will get something different. The core remains the same.
And this is something that I actually mentioned when we were in the middle of our draft, where I was like, this is really not actually that indicative of how these 2 teams draft. I said the second ban phase is almost always targeted around top laners. We were mismatched in the roles, so I was banning 80 carries, but if you actually match the roles, the top is what you would expect. And 100 Thieves feel like they're trying to set themselves up for even maybe a blind GP, and that's why, of course, there it goes.
All top lane bans, which leaves mid lane is a completely power pickable thing.
All right, so yeah, do you prioritize something big like the Fizz here, or do you wait for that counter for Ryu? I mean, who do you value the counter pick on more? I would have to imagine it's actually Someday.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
value perspective, but not map perspective. We always get into this debate of whether or not you should just pick a power top laner right here. Like, they could go with something like Mundo, but I think they're going to block him.
Okay. It almost looked like he locked in Corki, like the way that
yeah, that was going to be surprising to me. I like this a lot more. Just take the Orianna. There are a fair amount of mid lane bans in the first phase, while they weren't targeted at all in the second phase. So you're starting to shrink that pool a little bit. And this was one of the ones you banned out against. Oh, not going to be that. Going to go with the Nocturne.
What?
Made it all the way through.
They could move Gragas
going top. Gragas could go top.
Yeah, which used to be an. Oh my!
There you have
it. Little switcheroo.
Yeah.
Every top laner's banned because TSM already had.
Because they already know which one they want. But this, so now, okay, so we obviously, Gragas goes top. What does Someday play into that?
Well, if he actually
playing a Jason to that or something?
I actually don't think you want to play Jason to Gragas too much, because he has
probably not Gragas
range.
Nocturne, right? Because then you can just go top and gank him.
Yeah, we can see. Don't
do the Vel'Koz.
Yeah, I don't like the Vel'Koz.
Zillion.
Oh.
So they got one pick right.
Zillion first pick the Kindred. Although I will say, when I was thinking about Zillion Kindred, this is why I would consider Zillion to be more important, because Kindred Ultimate heals both teams. So the team that has the Zillion is the team that controls the Kindred Ultimate, because they're the ones that get.
And Zillion Nocturne was the first comp that C9 ran.
Right, and so this is actually.
They didn't have the Kindred.
By TSM, a pretty interesting draft, because you took away one of the priority picks for 100 Thieves. You just get the Mundo.
Because Mundo's unkillable against the Gragas.
Yeah, TSM take away the Braum pick by first picking it, and then by going with the Gragas, they bait 100 Thieves into leaving the Nocturne up, which allows them to get this team comp, which is pretty strong, I'd say. The only problem is you have Gragas top, which is while viable, not a very strong pick, and a little different from what they were going for before with lane-dominant champions.
As the players swap up the champions here in these final seconds, I do want to get you guys' thoughts on the completed team comps from both of these teams, how they might play into even the win conditions that you were drafting for yourselves.
Well, 100 Thieves didn't go for any counter picks like we were thinking, but they did go for very strong team fight, and all 3 lanes kind of back that up, and even the jungler a little bit.
I don't think TSM is necessarily super lane dominant. I can't say I hate it, but I also don't think red side was that disadvantaged in this draft with the way it panned out. So I got to give props to Prawley for getting a good team.
Alrighty, so there you have it. Solid draft from both teams. It was a fun one to watch. With that, we're going to toss it out to the casters as the coaches handshake and make their way off the stage.
Thank you, Dash. I'm Julian Pastry Time God, joined by my travel buddy from the past week. It is Sam Kirby Hartman-Kensler.
Glad to be back.
How's the jet lag recovery going?
Still definitely in effect, but ready for some NALCS game.
All right, excited for yet another Danish Zillion, Kobe. Snuck his way back into the NALCS.
They mentioned that Bjergsen does have a history with this champion as well. He's actually played 13 Zillion games in his career, so definitely well practiced, and he's not just picking it up and kind of copying Jensen.
Yep, kind of nice to see a lot of things come back around as the metagame has shifted and swayed throughout this split. But the summer is getting pretty tight for those last few playoff spots. TSM, critical for them to win here to try and stay in position for the top 600 Thieves. Looking to tie for first with a win here and continue their strength from spring.
Oh, it is crunch time for sure, and all of the teams are feeling the pressure in these last couple of weeks as they make the push to make it into playoffs and get that final spot. Teams talking about their legacies, teams talking about, breaking into the stardom of the new era of the North American LCS, and Bjergsen's going to land the first damage in the game.
Yep, does tag Ryu there with a bomb, but it looks like everyone else for now spreading out, although 3 from TSM I do spy assaulting that top right tri-bush.
They have Braum.
Yep, Someday also going to have to face check, so maybe force it flash over the wall. First on land, Splash is there. Someday will get out.
Someday very happy to get out of that one with his life, even though he has to burn his flash. With flash down, though, you're definitely going to be thinking about targeting up on that top side. Usually, junglers nowadays will start red buffs and go cross up to the opponent Scuttle Crab, especially in the Kindred matchup here. But it looks like after the invade for 100 Thieves, they just lay down the ward and retreat to pull for Anda and give him a speedy start to his jungle route.
Yeah, you can see that ward they placed by Afro. Does get walked over there by Grig and Sven, so knowledge was probably pretty assumed, but they are here starting on the red buff. 100 Thieves also on the same side, so Anda is going to start on blue.
Yeah, TSM checking all the brush there with their abilities. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves are going to do the more hard pull route here for Anda. Can just do the Gromp, and then he actually has the option of doing bottom Scuttle first before heading up to the top side, since it will spawn shortly after completing that Gromp, and you can make a very nice, efficient timing and pathing down there. Grig with his red buff will claim the top one.
Yep, going to be onto this crab pretty quickly, so pretty standard stuff here. Have to, of course, keep track of that first bounty. Looks like it is here on the bot side, though.
50-50 Pastry. Always feels good to hit that one.
It's the reverse of the USB 50-50, where I never get it. Seems like Kindreds always get that first mark, so Anda will pick up bounty number 1. Even going to move mid, but actually just going through the lane to move to the top side jungle. So meanwhile, Bjergsen trying to get some damage down. Does stun in onto Ryu. Got to be careful when trading. Lots of objects flying around this lane.
Yeah, I mean, since so many people have been talking about the Zillion compositions because of Cloud9, it's not just that the champion pick was pulled out of nowhere. Jensen has been playing it extremely well, both CSing and harassing in lane. In the last 3 games, he had actually not died for Cloud9 with a perfect KDA, basically, while also providing that utility to his team. Bjergsen here, having to deal with Orianna is a little bit difficult as far as the early trading goes, and still landing those last hits, but you can see him every time his bomb is available, then he can start moving up a little bit more aggressively and threatening that trade onto Ryu.
Yeah, Corrupting Potion versus Doran's Ring. So Ryu getting kind of an early lead here, but Bjergsen just sustaining through. Here comes Grig, though. Looks like Ryu has sniffed this out. He's going to walk right side and be safe.
Yeah, it's been such a big topic as well, the Corrupting Potions, and going with Time Warp Tonics this time. Looks like they both will be able to have that possibility. Grig does go into the jungle, doesn't scare away the Poro, but does come over for his gank onto Ryu.
Nice moves there from Ryu. Dodges that potential stun. Bjergsen is going to arrest control back of the lane, thanks to some presence by Grig. Under the top side, maybe looking there for Haunter, who's on the Gragas, is going to spin over this wall behind the back of Baron Pit.
Oh yeah, he's going to get there pretty easily. I don't know if he's actually going to go for the gank though. Because he pops that plant, TSM should be very well aware that his location has been revealed, so Hunter not feeling too scared about it. And it looks like they didn't really have a plan on going all in there.
Some scouting there by Under. Haunted, nice body slam, does find Someday barely on the edge of that hitbox. But as Mundo, his want in his matchup should be fine as the levels go up and his first item does come through. So we'll see what Haunter can get done in his 1v1. Back in bot side though for the first time in this game. Mithy just comfortably farming here. We've seen a lot of Ash vs Varus classically in League of Legends. Looks like no real foothold in this lane just yet for either side.
Yeah, Varus and Braum, though, should be feeling very comfortable. And they're pushing up the lane now. No vision for themselves, so it's getting into a little bit of a dangerous position. They should be aware of the jungler. And actually, right now, Anda has made his way down. You can tell Aframu is threatening to all in.
Yep, passive wall's off, so not a bad time for him to jump in, but just going to wait. We'll see if 100 Thieves feel comfortable looking for something here with the wave stacking up. Looks like for now they'll pull back and just farm these out.
Yeah, a lot of the times you can tell just by the positioning of your opponent if they telegraph a jungler game like that. And wisely, the TSM bottom lane stepping out of range for the headbutt pull combo. If he might get stopped there in a recall, which is only slightly unfortunate though, as they actually both remained.
Second crab though for Anda, as he is going to roam into the red side of TSM's jungle. Again, just getting some vision and trying to find some farm, but Grig's already gone back. Yes, his red smite finished and a longsword to boot. So Anda instead is going to check down and get 2 nice wards there. 1 control ward just bottom side there, and then 1 near the Raptors as well.
And the Ghost Poro. One of my favorite changes to some of the new runes. You actually get a lot of attack damage for basically free if you can put your Poro on the enemy side of basically the halfway point, or if you actually fight over past that halfway point. Definitely does give a nice boost early on because junglers not going to rush a lot of those early stats themselves. As you can see, just upgraded the smite to go for the challenging. Grig is trying to power to that Nocturne level 6, of course, in order to try and get his level 6 gank probably around mid. He combines really well with Zillion bombs and slow down, so it might be Ryu that they actually target with that one. And he's going to have to be fairly aware of the experience level of the junglers.
Was spotted by Cody's Hawkshot though, and here's Grig into the top side actually. Someday ready with flash and ulti.
Level 6 Haunter too.
Yep, Someday knows, does see Grig, pops the ult immediately. Haunter going to try and combo it up, does get the damage back down with the caster. Slow is good. Grig going to flash forward, first blood on the table and gifted over. Grig collects it, but now Anda is going to turn it back in onto Haunter. Grig going to stop that though.
Yep, he's going to push him off with a little bit of counter threat there. It looked like Grig was walking away from the fight, but that maybe have baited Someday in a little bit, and Hunter flashed on bottom side, though. Aframu goes in.
Good double pulse there from Afro. Mithy, though, puts up the door and blocks out the arrows in from Cody's son. Still, good trade there as Cody gets good damage down onto both of the TSM duo lane members.
First blood goes over to TSM, giving them an early gold lead on something they have had a bunch of. But yeah, so Someday, as soon as he sees Grig walk away, he walks back up, and Haunter's ready to use the full combo. Body slam, flash, into ultimate, gives them enough distance that even with the ult regenerating, they're able to take him down, and then Grig can move up as Anda was trying to focus down Gragas and chase him right off, protecting his teammate.
Yep, no ult for either jungler, so Anda wise to not stick around in that 1v2 situation. So first early gold lead goes to TSM, up almost 1,000 after that play. And here's Grig now level 6, and with red buff back off of that second cycle. Even going to take this bounty away from Anda as well.
Yeah, it feels extremely good as a Nocturne to get a first blood on your first ultimate very shortly. You know, dinging level 6 here. We'll see if he can follow his first blood up with a successful use of the ultimate. We were talking about mid lane you know, with Ryu, but he very well could repeat gank Mundo topside since there's no flash. And since he got level 6 off of the gank, now Someday has to be really scared of the paranoia coming in. And it would have to be Anda to kind of protect him there with the Kindred ultimate as well.
Scuttle Crab down though. So Anda is going to get spotted if he walks through this section of the jungle. Looks like Grig actually going to donate the blue over to Bjergsen. So just kind of taking those camps for the next round of action. Going to go onto the Gromp as Bjergsen blast cones back towards the midsection.
There's been one thing that a lot of fans have been critical of TSM for, has been You know, maybe they have one early play that finds success and they get, you know, some lead in the first 7 or 8 minutes, but trying to push that lead and really gain an advantage has not worked out so well in Split for them. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves, by pushing up mid lane, has opened up this Infernal Drake down to 2,000 health almost already.
Dirksen may be able to get them off here, speed himself up, all in the bot side. Aframo actually low despite the ult ticking away. Good ult there from Cody, actually stuns Mithy. So the follow-up damage can't happen. Here's Ander though coming down, ready with the ulti. Mithy again, stuns the door up. Has to be careful, Ander still fighting, but the smite is down onto Mithy. Grig also looking for a target, but can't really jump through the Orianna with 3 still there in the bot lane.
And I think after those health bars, it's TSM slightly winning out in the pressure because multiple members of 100 Thieves are taken down. They cannot fight anymore. With control wards coming in, TSM overtake this dragon that 100 Thieves pulled for them, and they will be able to secure it with the teleport with Mithy coming in.
Yeah, that's Mithy swapping, I believe, from Spellbook. Does TP down to ensure the Drake goes down, but a pretty good one to get as TSM grab the first Infernal of the game.
And that is a huge, huge boon for them. Not only were they able to get the first blood off top side, but chase off bottom side to secure an Infernal Drake for later for them, to allow this scaling to be a little bit more smooth for them later on in the game. And still, they haven't used the Paranoia from Grig on Nocturne, so he could very well again threaten the Mundo on top side who has no flash, or try and target Ryu here, burn some summoners, and force him to play a little bit more defensively.
Looks like both teams just resetting the map, at least a little. Grig finishes Warrior after that first blood kill, getting extra gold, and Mithy and Sven still trying to pressure this turret. Not too much damage done just yet, but at least they're keeping Afro and Cody here, so they can kind of both get up those backs at optimal times. Bjergsen also went back. Rod of Age is now finished. And Grig once again back towards his top half of the map, but actually looking for the objective. He's going to start up the Rift Herald here.
Yeah, he knows he doesn't have to trade anything on the bottom side for a Rift Herald, since they were able to take the Drake without any sort of trade over. Plus, there's a Scuttle Crab spawn up on this top side, so he can feel good about the experience and gold generation right after going for the objective here. And this is definitely one of the better starts for this team, this split.
Yeah, TSM kind of slowly accruing advantages here in the early game. You mentioned they're kind of a reactive team a lot of the time. This is some softer proactivity, but still a little bit more proactivity from TSM.
And that being said, 100 Thieves has also been one of the slower paced teams. 100 Thieves did take the victory earlier on this split. The last time they faced TSM in about 35 minutes or so. Playing to that late game, using a funnel strategy back then. This time around, it won't be the case, but they definitely have felt secure later on in the game as well, with things like Aframu shot calling. And this time around, they are well set up, right, with a 5-on-5 comp. They've got Mundo tanking frontline with Alistar, as well as some good saving utility for the back line there with Kindred.
TSM still up just over 1,000 gold, but not a massive lead by any stretch. Despite the objective control, they have shown to be good in these first 12 minutes. Afro did look mid there for a roam, but isn't able to find it. And looks like Cody with the blade finished. It's now going to be matched by Sven, but 100 Thieves trying to set up a play around this mid area of the map.
Mark has spawned here onto the Raptors. Looks like they want to try and get this one. Maybe it'll be a smite fight here. Both of them have it available, and Grig is able to secure it.
Feels bad for Kindred. Again, Under still wanting to stack up those bounties, but 100 Thieves at least do well to try and contest for it. Unfortunately for them, it is Grig that takes it away. Bjergsen though back here. Still getting pressured in by Ryu, but caught up pretty nicely on CS. And again, just wants to take down the waves and then try and move out, and maybe joining with Grig, who is still yet to use that Paranoia Kobe, although bot side might be the next look for it.
Yeah, they're definitely looking to clear out some vision at least.
Good start, generally, when you're trying to set up these long lane style ganks here with Nocturne. But it looks like TSM not wanting to be too aggressive here. After though, ulti forced out, he doesn't have flash either. Not a bad target once that wears off. Grig though backing off towards his red buff. Looks like he has a bit more jungle to clear, so TSM will kind of play back into their holding pattern. I mean, so far, seem to be winning and pressuring all of their lanes, at least somewhat, so no need to do anything drastic right now.
Yeah, they definitely want to make use of it, but it looks like don't want to kind of overplay their hand. So many times early leads have been thrown away. They've got the possibility of a revive, though, to secure the Nocturne ultimate in, make sure that he can go very aggressive with it. As well, the double bombs work nicely on top.
Zillion passive also looking good. some bottled up time there. Does give Grig a level, and most importantly, gives Bjergsen rank 2 ulti as well as he dings 11. Once again, Grig back down here. And it was here before, but looks like TSM are just going to force the wave in towards the turret, and Rift Herald is the play here from TSM, going to try and take down the turret.
First turret bonus gold is available here, and they should be able to get it.
Ooh, great arrow there. Zafra going to follow up. That's the Polden onto his man, and lands Mithy as well. Rift Herald going to charge in, does finish off the turret, and TSM, they will escape there.
All right, objective secured. Number 1 has fallen. That will allow them to pull a lane swap after this. They can push out the bottom side with Sven and Mithy, then rotate them on up.
Grig also grabs that crab, so everyone was down there for the play, but TSM just again continuing that focus on objectives. They take that first turret, they get the bonus gold, and then they get out of there and continue to snowball in these side lanes. No need to force fight, you can just take the map, Kobe.
Still looking to use the paranoia as well. He's actually He's gone for a solo invade on this red. It looks like he might get caught by Anda, and it will be another smite fight.
Oh, Grig again. Doesn't even win the smite fight. I think just one straight auto took it down.
He has been so good this split for TSM with the smite timings. You know, stealing bigger objectives than just the red buff does well for them. Especially earlier on in the split with a lot of those Barons, and definitely a very useful thing for the junglers to be able to have. He always feels very confident with it.
Blue buff again over to Bjerg. Ryu trying to get this pushed in, but should be easily repelled. A couple bombs stack up here. Ryu trying to play aggressive. Afro also lining up a dive, potentially with Cody, whose ulti is almost back off cooldown. Pretty hard to kill a Zillion.
Once again, they push out the bottom side. The Dragon's about to spawn, so they're trying to set up some vision here first for themselves. And TSM, this is a lot of slow control they have, where 100 Thieves are not able to create any sort of opening for themselves. Completely reactive, trying to scale up a little bit here. And they're just looking to capitalize on some sort of mistake if TSM can overextend, but TSM are not giving them the opening.
Cloud Drake up, TP in. That's Bjergsen coming in this time around to make sure the Drake goes down.
And they still have the Haunter teleport ready, so another secure kind of by the book play.
No, bot side, Cody started to think maybe thinking they were at the Drake, and he was right, but it could still cost him his life. Ult there from Anda, and the flash cleanse from Cody.
And you can tell how scared he was. Flashes away, shoots the volley upstream as he's trying to run away. That's when the pressure really gets to you. And that is going to be a return to the Drake, but 2 summoners blown from Cody's son. The Ashe very vulnerable now if they transition into teamfights.
Mundo, though, winning this 1v1. Horn's going to try and get out of there. Drake, though, over to TSM. Horn still stays safe. And continuing to accrue objectives and tick up in gold lead here. Now up over 2,000, closing in on 3. TSM, happy to play this slow controlled style. You said it, Kobe. Both these teams want to play this way. But at some point, if your lead gets too big, the challenge is maybe too great, even for teams that do like to take these games a little later.
TSM do have a pretty good way of finishing out this game as well. They can push the tempo really easily for the next 10 minutes. With this composition, they have plenty of engage and a lot of knockbacks to be able to push people off of Kindred ultimates as well. We talked about Ashe 2 summoners being blown. 100 Thieves have very little options as far as turning around plays right now, and they have to play defensively, hopefully waiting out this big power spike from TSM.
I respect that Grig is a man of value. Took him 16 minutes to ult, gets 2 summoners after the first one, so not so bad as TSM hanging out in this brush, hoping somebody face checks. It's Afro though. He's going to get another double pole, hits Mithy and Grig. He's going to be feared away. Cody going to try and get aggressive. Here's Ryu looking for the shockwave perhaps. But Mithy's still alive for a little while longer. No flash, but he does have cleanse. And 100 Thieves do not chase.
All right.
Because Bjergsen split pushing on Zillion in the bot lane.
Yeah, look at those clocks work. Takes down half of the turret.
Well, also again, throwing in, gets the ward down. He's going to get those minions pushing back towards. Now knows 100 Thieves are responding. So he's going to give up, but still TSM doing a great job pressuring every single lane.
All right, top lane is the next objective here then. They're sending both Varus and Braum up the river right now to clear out the vision. Step by step, TSM closing their grip on the game right now. Outer turret number 2 will be seeded by 100 Thieves without a fight. They cannot afford to lose another member as well.
And it's certainly too early, but given the way TSM are playing this game, if they get their way all game long, this will be a perfect game by TSM, you have to think. Just playing to completely smother 100 Thieves out of this game.
You're gonna jinx it, Pastry Time, but yes, they are very well on course for the perfect game right now. And it has been a very smooth ride. No bumps so far. 100 Thieves still trying to find an area where they can actually pull out a play. Ash Arrow would have to be the start of it. They do have playmaking abilities. You know, Aframu, Cody Sun, and Ryu, all with very big initiation tools themselves. And if they can, you know, catch that timing perfectly, catching Bjergsen off guard or something to deny the Zillion ult, then that would be a way for them back into this game. And if they do get, you know, that teamfight victory, get that money back to fuel some of the items for themselves, they can easily have a strong late game, as we've seen from 100 Thieves before.
And that's why we say it, right? This game is still very close. 2,000 between the two teams. Yes, 100 Thieves are struggling in this kind of early to mid-game section to get too much done, but this is a team that's happy to hold on and play. They may have to get scrappy if they want to contest TSM as the game goes a little later and things like Baron start to be much more of a factor. But for now, I think 100 Thieves saying, you know what, these are acceptable losses so far. So how much more will they lose before they can try and get something started here? That's going to be what we look for in these next 5 minutes.
All right, now they have to worry about being dope at their mid-turret right now. They're showing Ash on top side. There's no way for him to join, so TSM should just be able to force them off this turret. Zillion bombs can zone quite well.
Yeah, Afro again looking for the pole finds. One to Myth, the arrow's going to land, but he cleanses it off. Still the turret getting a little low. It looks like TSM again. Use some cooldowns, back off, and continue pressuring the turret here. No need to overextend themselves. Someday did get pressure, and minions pushing into this bottom side, but Haunter coming down to join any minute now. TSM, though, continuing to assault this turret. Not done just yet. Keeping everyone else here. Zapro again looking for another play. Ult there by mid. They're going to try and pick off the Alistar. Little low, but maybe not low enough. No ulti, but he does have flash.
Oh, but without that health bar and without his ultimate, there's no possibility for 100 Thieves, and TSM are actually rotating over to clear out some more vision around Baron. The pressure mounting here, and still slowly creeping forward. You can see the vision line as well moving up into the 100 Thieves jungle.
TSM certainly not in a rush this game, Kobe. Gonna push his waves back out, look to regroup and go back towards the center of the map. Still one turret to go, as TSM do look to fill the outer ring. But everyone's scaling up. Looks like Sven almost at 2 items, Bjergsen the same. And Haunter also on track for, I assume, Iceborne Gauntlet as well. 100 Thieves again, waiting, trying to find a play. Look again to Aframu to set things up on the Alistar. He's tried a few combos here and there, has not bore fruit just yet, but doesn't take too much more to open this game back up for 100.
Here it comes.
There's bot side though. Ulti, looking for Someday. Mundo taken away. You have a little bit of healing reduction, but still Someday pretty tanky. Slowly gonna land back in from the barrel, and now Someday's like, yep, you wanna fight? TSM like, no, no, no.
Yeah, their only healing reduction is if Someday turns around and auto attacks Haunter continuously because of the blade mail there, but not gonna happen, so he just walks away with the ultimate regenerating, and TSM do not have paranoia now to pick anyone squishier off.
Oh, Miffy, maybe the first kill given over to 100 Thieves. Over the top we go into the Baron pit, but Cody's still firing arrows into his back. Baron getting grumpy, and Ryu swoops in to collect it.
They definitely need that. That's some money for 100 Thieves. As he talked about trying to fuel their carries, this one importantly did go over to Ryu on the Orianna, trying to stack up that magic penetration, and he does have 2 items as far as the spike goes.
Bad time to die too, because Drake is back up and ready. TSM trying to steal it away quickly. They TP'd in Sven to try and take this one, as Bjergsen's looking to get mid-priority, but 100 Thieves will collapse here.
Yeah, Cody Sun's far away and he doesn't have Ash Arrow, but it's enough to run 100 Thieves. Oh, here we go. They're gonna go engage.
Bjergsen took the long way around as well. Did not want to get cut off potentially in a flank. So now maybe a 50-50 on the table here for this Drake. Who's gonna grab it? It's Greg again! Takes the objective.
At a certain point, you just have to say that he's got an extra 10% or 20% even in these exchanges. Very quick on the trigger finger, able to get another objective for themselves. And with that, the perfect game possibility was broken because they killed Mithy on the top side, but the objective remains in TSM's hands. And that Mountain Drake will put so much more pressure on the eventual Baron play, where TSM, after they take the outer turret, and they can move up their ward line. They just kind of bait around that Baron and then use the Nocturne ultimate once again to pick someone off.
Yeah, perfect game is off the table, but a shutout is not. 100 Thieves still looking for their first objective. There's a nice Baron start who's going to start things off. Great hold there from Haunter on the side with a flank, but again, Afro's going to get it started. Here's the paranoia. That's Haunter over the top of the turret down. Diving into the backside as Grig tries to pick up a carry, but the Lambda spikes keeping them alive. Grig with the stopwatch as Ven tries to pick up Afro, but Grig, he's going to die to Ander. And now Someday looking for a flank, but he may be too far forward. He's going to get stunned up, but still so tanky. Pops the watch, still regenerating, and Cody's son is trying to finish off Mythy, trying to pick off the low health members of TSM. 100 Thieves, they'll win the fight, but they only get one kill.
Yeah, they should be able to get an objective for themselves afterwards, though. 100 Thieves going to try and get some power gold here and take down their first.
All right, I jinxed it again. Shut out now off the table. The 100 Thieves take the mid outer turret. TSM did get it, so it is a trade. But 100 Thieves, this game was what, 2,000 gold between the two. Now less than that, as 100 Thieves know. 25 minutes in, that's what we power spike, baby.
Power spikes definitely on the side here. Let's take another look at the dive. Ferris ultimate starts it all off into the Gragas, into the Braum knockup. So Ryu doesn't get to use any abilities until the last second there. Then he immediately stopwatches, flashes over to the Kindred ultimate. So really good play from him surviving in this fight. And Grig, there is no more Zillion ult left for that time around, so he goes down. Someday channeling his ultimate, and he still has his own stopwatch available to allow him to regenerate. And they push TSM even further away, allowing them to get the objective afterwards and take down the turret, mounting their comeback.
And Someday, pretty stubborn in any situation. He's back down to the bot side of the map, trying to get their pressure going. As 100 Thieves grouped as 4. Tried to assault the top side. They'll leave Cody there to farm out the wave and return back to mid as the waves were pushed back in. But 100 Thieves showing that at least in a straight-up team fight, more than happy to take it, given that this game is still so close. TSM have done a great job controlling the map, but even that will change if TSM can't find good angles on these engages. Because Someday he's fine. He's fine? He's fine.
Yeah, his whole team is in the mid lane, so he gets them to back off.
Just visiting there on that Ash Arrow, flies past TSM. But pretty low cooldown, so Cody, not a huge waste given the current situation. And 100 Thieves, at least pressure on the left side of the map does give them current control of Baron.
Yeah, their only problem is that Haunter just pushed up the bottom side minion wave, and we'll see if TSM try and utilize that to their advantage here. Haunter's roamed up already on the Gragas, and they want to fight over those control wards in the vision you just mentioned.
Someday though, back here to this side. TSM now trying to exchange back vision. Haunter though, going to get stunned up by Afro. And over the top onto Mythy, not a bad target, puts up the door. Runs back towards his teammates as Someday still peppering, poking with those briefcases.
Yeah, 100 Thieves feel very confident here. Double summoners back up on Cody's son. So Ryu would be the one who would be the target there from TSM, and he just has to play a little bit more carefully with his positioning. But if they can set up their front-to-back style team fighting with their tanks on the front side, their carries right in the back next to Kindred, then they have a very solid head-on-head, 5-on-5 composition.
You mentioned the bot wave that Haunter got pushed in though, so back to a business trip there for some days. He's going to make sure the waves push for his team as Pearson doing the reverse here on the top half of the map. Still, Mundo nice and tanky, actually closing in on 3 items pretty quickly. As Cody continues to farm up as well. Final objective will be back up in a minute 45. It's been a run on that objective for TSM so far. I think 100 Thieves see that and maybe that next Baron as those real points are okay. These are things we really do have to fight for.
All right, they're closing in here. TSM even moving through the jungle. They have not been spotted. No defensive vision has been set up from 100 Thieves. So they're definitely in a very, very precarious situation right now. Looks like TSM are triggering their recalls though, so they won't actually go for the play. All right, they cancel their recalls. Control ward movement here is going to give them the advantage on their rotation towards the turret. And some more secure gold easily picked up.
Yep, going to go back and try and spend it before the next objective, I think, as well. Both teams actually a decent amount of gold stacked up, but favoring the map pressure and tempo more than anything else. But I think both teams know, again, time to reset for these next objectives. It's somehow 28 minutes has almost flown by in this game as it has started relatively slow. But again, as the objectives get more and more precious, as the team fight stakes rise higher and higher, have to be careful not to make mistakes in these critical moments.
All right, looking at the movement here between lanes, all the control wards with 4 members of 100 Thieves moving as a group. This is one of the things they've been lauded for. When Aframu can get them to group up through the mid game, they sweep through with the control wards around Baron, push up the minion wave, and establish an area where they can make plays from. Ash Arrow, Alistar engage, and they have plenty of follow-up from the Orianna. So it's very possible here for them to catch someone off guard. Mithy especially has to be careful. Even though he is on Braum, they can take him down pretty quickly.
Scuttle Shrine, though, kind of stopping all this hard work from 100 Thieves as they did get vision over the dragon. Ult, attempt on Ryu as Aframu is going to stop the first from Mithy. Ult, though, used. Chain of Corruption also thrown out there by Sven. So a couple cooldowns used, and we'll reset here in mid lane.
All right, go over the ult used there. 2 from 100 Thieves. There looks like TSM trying to catch them out now. Someday.
Again, maybe too far forward, but he's pretty tanky in the front line. Mithy going to hop back in towards Sven as TSM was hoping somebody squishier was going to get cut off.
Still, though, nobody going down, so it's just keeping track of the cooldowns used here, and they still want to pressure it.
Haunter again going to get jumped on. Cody-san not doing too bad there, but Afro actually going to mount on the front side with no ulti as Greek going to jump in and try and disrupt the carries. Haunter looking for another pickoff, but they can't quite find it. Ryu barely misses out on getting sniped by an arrow from Sven, but TSM, they'll pick up one and they'll get the drag.
Yeah, and Zillion ult is still available, so 100 Thieves have to back off and give it up. That's 2 Infernals. And they have been stacking these Drakes so quickly here, 4 to their name now. TSM really mounting as far as playmaking abilities as well. With Scuttlecrab coming up around Baron, you'd expect a pretty quick transition from them over to that area of the map. Hanzo right now feeling very confident in his Gragas on the bottom side, level 16 to boot.
Again, despite how threatening Someday is, Haunter happy to just stay here 1v1 and at least keep the farm even and the waves in a neutral position. TSM, despite the gold lead, again, being pretty small between the two teams, has stayed, I believe, 4,000 or less the entire time through 30.5 minutes of play. But TSM have done such a good job controlling the map, getting these objectives, and again, forcing 100 Thieves to a point where despite them being a team that does want to play pretty quietly throughout most of the game, at some point you have to answer this kind of dam of pressure that TSM are pressing through, and it will burst at any moment. Mainly around Baron, though. That's apparently where Water likes to burst out through the river.
We keep saying it, but it's been around the Dragons here, as they have been over and over. Again, 1-4 split push here, sending Someday down to the bottom side for 100 Thieves to try and push that one out, and making another pass at the Fog of War here around Baron.
I mean, these are two pretty calculating teams and good students as well. Everybody is making sure to do their homework in the side lanes, Kobe. No wave is left untouched here. It's now Haunter's turn to come back down here to the bot lane and reverse this wave.
They also have an extra teleport, extra 2 teleports on TSM side. So you could tell they had Zillion up on top side, Bjergsen trying to get that side wave. Here we go though, Paranoia activated mid.
Lane left. He's going to look again, but Ryu pretty safe. So no casualties there as Grig does burn the ulti. Someday though, maybe the next target, call it transition. Stoneplate going to get popped. He's going to try and regen through this, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. Sven, with the Executioner's calling, is trying to cut through, but it's not enough as the rest of the team reinforces.
Yeah, that is the member of your team to get caught if you are going to have one get caught. Stoneplate Mundo just pops ult and Stoneplate. No number of TSM members are going to be able to bring him down that quickly, so they're able to just back off after those cooldowns used, and now 100 Thieves actually look like they want to make a counter initiation. Someday doesn't have as many tanky utility cooldowns to use for this team fight, though, so you have to be a little bit more careful on the front line.
Also, vision belongs to TSM around the Baron right now with the speed shrine, so not afraid of this feint just yet. It will wear off pretty soon, though. So TSM maybe going to bait 100 Thieves to come a little too far forward down the lane. Cody-san, got to be careful. Looks like he's playing back towards his supports here. So TSM now have to move back, catch the wave, and we'll continue the dance once more. For a team with only 1 turret taken, by the way, 100 Thieves doing a really good job controlling the map.
I mean, the name of their game is like, okay, if you haven't gotten Baron, you're not beating us yet. They give up a couple of objectives, all of the dragons, you know, a lot of turrets, but they are not giving up the Baron buff. TSM still trying to work around it here, though. Vision definitely in their advantage, and both side lanes are pushing for TSM, so 100 Thieves are running out of options.
Yep, blue trinket there by Sven. They know, again, that 100 Thieves are not on that Baron, so no need to play recklessly. Even Bjergsen actually with his TP is just in top lane, making sure that those waves are in the right spot. Afro going to find one, Arrow launching in, headbutts him straight into it. It is the tank, but he's not tanking enough. Haunts are dead to Cody.
Patience is a virtue, Pastry Time. 100 Thieves stick around mid. They are so patient, and they finally get their kill. Haunts are down now. This is the opening, the window that 100 Thieves have been waiting for. 33 minutes into the game. Baron started up.
All right, we'll see if they can get it, though. Still 4 of TSM here, ready to poke in. Grig also can potentially steal it with his ulti plus smite. Mithy going in for it. They're going to try and start a team fight. Looking to win for the 5. 100 Thieves are turn off. There's the ult in from Nocturne to try and stop it. Sven in the front side forced to flash over the wall, but he almost took down Someday.
Yeah, look at that attack moving there from Sven, putting out tremendous DPS.
Again, Zillion bombs do not get stunned in the Baron pit. Damage is starting to get chunked out. Afro almost dead to a stray bomb. And I think 100 Thieves know they have to pull off. Now it's TSM's turn.
Yeah, the homework that TSM did with the minion waves on the side lanes is paying off because both of those waves have crashed into turrets and they're taking down 100 Thieves defenses.
Bjergsen maybe tries something cute in the top lane. Can see Cody tending to that wave. Takes down the blue trinket. Grig maybe looking to start the Baron, but the speed trying here for 100 Thieves makes it a little tough. Instead, they are going to start it.
Well, they're going to burn it down. 9,000 health, 8,000 health now. Teleport comes in. 100 Thieves are trying to collapse.
That's Someday, but I think Anda is going to have to try something here. Lancer's fight, he's going to get popped, but he gets ulted back out of it. That does barely enter the Baron, but it's going to be a race for this one. Anda goes down. Who got the Baron? It is Haunter. He somehow stole it away from his own team as TSM. The fight still continues. There's one dead at Sven. Carried down as Haunter is going to fall as well. Bjerg's now going to try and fight his way out, but he's got no ult. He's got no hope. 100 Thieves, they won't get the objective, but they will win the team fight.
Oh, after all of the stalling and all of the controlled pace of the early game here, it all breaks down around Baron. TSM started back up, 100 Thieves collapsed, and chaos ensued. Here's another look at Anda. He gets in, uses the Kindred ultimate, even with the Gragas moving him, it still is able to keep Baron alive, but TSM in the end have the extra damage there. Haunter on Gragas, probably W maybe, didn't get a quite good look at it, but some sort of damage. Haunter was able to take it away, and Grig is the only surviving member with the Baron buff there for TSM. 100 Thieves killed all other members, giving them a bunch of extra gold as well as positioning on the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, kind of a must take as well for 100 Thieves away from TSM if nothing else. But Grig again ready. Could be a steal in the works here, but he's gonna have to make it quick.
All right, round number 2. There's no Kindred ultimate this time, so they don't have to worry about that.
Grig needs vision as well. He doesn't have any in the pit, so the Drake over to 100 Thieves. And now they may turn for a team fight. Stun onto Afro as Someday. Still looking to slow them down. Throws a briefcase in, barely misses the slow in onto Bjergsen.
And that was very important for 100 Thieves to take off the map just to deny it from TSM. Because TSM had been stacking elemental dragons, 4 of them. If they had gotten that buff, it would be over. Huge team fight right by Arrow.
Arrow finds one. It's actually Bjerg. He gets CC'd forever. Somehow with a sliver of health. Ults himself on the Zillion, but he needs to get out safely if he can. Mithy is going to tank it. He will with the sacrifice. He pops a watch just to buy a bit more time. Someday is running in. 1v4. He kills Sven. And 100 Thieves still doing it.
The Stone Plate Mundo runs them all down. And now it's going to be 100 Thieves running down the mid lane.
All right, they could be the team to break the first inhibitor down. Ryu gets stunned, but he pops a shield at just the last second. Still good amount of damage done by the Zillion, who's built up quite a horde of AP.
Someday, you got to talk about this guy. In Summer Split, he has been absolutely magnificent for 100 Thieves. Now they're inside the base, taking down the inhibitor turret.
Duo dead for 20 seconds. Still, Sven needs to be here to try and defend, so instead it will be 100 Thieves taking down the inhibitor.
Definitely props to Cody Sun for landing that arrow to start it all off, though. Bjergsen gets hit with the Ash Arrow. They follow it up with the Shockwave as expected. Cody Sun here, out in the fog of war, so there's no time to react there. No flash goes off, and immediately everyone follows up. This is coordination from 100 Thieves team. And now, Someday can tank everyone easily as he's got his ultimate regenerating and Stone Plate popped. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves can easily burn down the TSM members that were tanking on the opposite side and then take the objective after.
All right, now if they can tank with super minions. To be fair, their carries are pretty strong as far as damage dealing goes, but gonna get run around the map as their Baron will wear off. TSM Not too effective, unfortunately for them. 100 Thieves found the fight angle and were able to take the inhib despite not having the buff for themselves. Haunter down here in the bot lane is going to take down this Scuttle Crab, so he's going to get some vision for himself, but 100 Thieves, many more turrets to be disposed of here. Top outer is gone.
Feels like every team Afromu has been on always feels confident late into the game. Being patient, he's able to keep them so poised, and they waited long enough that they finally got that singular pick to start this chain of dominoes and mount their comeback. Now they're poised to push back on TSM. They've got one inhibitor down, grouped up here around this top side, and looking for another turret. Look at that negative Baron power play.
Not what you want to see at all. The 100 Thieves do take the gold lead here in this game. They're up 3K, and maybe counting as this tier 2 turret in top lane not looking particularly healthy. Arrow finds Smithy. Afro going in, but again being stuffed by Haunter and Sven. Still tanking up, he does get stunned, but with the ulti ticking away, he's not too worried. TSM trying to find a re-engage, but don't really have cooldowns for it, so instead, 100 Thieves will walk away.
They get the objective, another secondary turret down. There's still a lot actually on the bottom side of the map, and still from the beginning of the game. But how can TSM actually recover from this and reset the game plan? They don't have a lot of areas to pull off one of those big plays anymore, and right now, this Mundo is creating such a difficulty, even with Sven having crit, having the Blade of the Rune King, perfect for taking down tanks. They cannot peel for him. They cannot take Someday down fast enough, and the rest of 100 Thieves can easily pick off another member, use their crowd control to pick up those kills, and it's becoming so difficult for TSM to fight these team fights.
Ryu about to face like a Nocturne though.
Oh, they got him!
Flashes out of the way. Now Afro going to go back in. Shockwave mounting up, looks for it, but Ryu I think got stunned by Glacial Fidget. Bjergsen forced to hold himself as Anna does jump in though. He's going to wait it out. He does get resurrected. Tick down there by the red spine. Here's Grieg again. Diving back in. He takes down Afro. He's just trying to buy time for the rest of his team. But Bjergsen is dead. Sven now needs to be the one to carry through the rest of this fight. Cody finds an arrow blocked by Mithi, who cleanses it off. And Sven still fighting it out of the way. Under forced to burn the ulti as Sven still cutting it out. He flashes out Someday though. He wants blood. He wants to kill the duo again. He's running in. He cannot be stopped. Flash, cleaver, blocked by Mithi. Here's Haunter again trying to peel it off. It's 1v4. He's a madman. Nobody can stop the boss. Someday still going as Haunter. Ultied there by Ryu, finally gonna call off the play. This Mundo is doing it all.
They can't stop him, but they can run away from him. And the retreat is successful for TSM, despite the best efforts there of 100 Thieves trying to chase down more kills. Let's take another look at how it all started off, though. Ryu walks near the brush, has to flash away, and then Afromu counter engages here. Does get the knockup, but Mithi actually had a pretty good Braum ult to counter that one. Bjergsen, in the end, still has to use Zillion ult on himself, but it's traded 1-for-1 as Grieg goes in, finishes off Afromu, and then the chase is on. Because Someday still stands, you have to retreat. There is no way that they can actually take him down. So up this river, TSM trying to put some damage onto the opponent's threat and deter Anda from chasing by putting a lot of counter pressure onto him, forcing out the ultimate. And now we see, once again, 100 Thieves regrouping. There's only a few more seconds on the inhibitor, actually. It will respawn fairly quickly, but Baron's already on the map.
Credit where it's due, by the way. Mithi played insane to protect Sven that last fight, but there are different problems as Baron is back up here. 100 Thieves are just torching it down. There's again Grieg. He's just going to try and find a steal this time. He's getting so much damage done. He just takes down Anda. He didn't have ulti, but he did have flash, and Afro's dead as well. TSM going to try and get in there and just win the team fight. Someday, maybe, finally failed. Nope. Never mind. 100 Thieves stay alive.
TSM get 2 kills for themselves on 100 Thieves to stop that Baron, and now they actually have an opening of their own to push down mid lane. What a swing base reach time. They're still fighting.
Inhib respawned in mid, so it's a good time to try and take one down. Also big objectives that they can maybe play for. TSM instead will go back to Baron here. Elder Dragon also up in a minute 30. This is going to be tight.
This should be TSM's, and unlike the first Baron, they shouldn't have to give up any kills to do so. Ryu, though, might go for a miracle steal with Shockwave.
All right, how are they going to line it up? They have to reach out with their feelings. Unfortunately, Grieg again on point with most of his objectives secures. Does make sure TSM get that Baron.
Truer words never spoken, pastry time. Grieg goes in. This time it's him, 1v4, finding the kill on the opponent jungler. And with his Guardian Angel, gets back on his feet, smites the Baron for health to run out, and survives the team fight so they can do Baron afterwards.
All right, 55 seconds now. Elder Dragon ticking, mid-inhib still exposed here for TSM. 100 Thieves have plenty of turrets still up to try and defend their potential inhibitors from being taken. We'll see how much TSM can get done here with this Baron buff. This time, it's on 5 instead of 1.
Well, it's got to be better than the last one where they were negative
4,000.
4,400 gold. And that is a huge dip, but again, we may have another switch here as TSM trying to push. They have a big wave on top side too, pinging right now to try and pull off a split. Grig's got his ultimate ready, so they're actually sending the Nocturne up there to try and push it out and then get into range of Paranoia.
Patience here from TSM. This is going to give up some
Arrow
around the Drake. Haunts are going to eat it. But not a bad man to tank it. Is he going to hold on to his cleanse? And Grig's still going. He might even stay.
Yep, Grig's going to make a beeline for the top lane inhibitor turret. He's at it right now with Baron buff, so there's no recourse here for 100 Thieves. They're out of position, and TSM have the advantage.
Going back as well.
Whoa, Grig actually pulled off the turret. He's not buffing up the minions anymore, didn't commit to it, and now they're going to make the rotation. He can't get it now.
These are tough decisions to make, and Grig may have misstepped here. Cody, though, no ult, as Bjergsen also going to run up there and escort his jungler out safely.
You can tell how trepid TSM are being.
Oh, they go to the Drake.
They don't want anyone to get caught out. Bjergsen actually takes his place as he's got his teleport available. And if you just buff up the cannon minion, it'll do enough. Sven, meanwhile, with his almost full build AD carry, has taken the Elder.
Is TSM running the heist all along, Kobe? Look over here in top lane. Look at this inhibitor turret that's being threatened. And Sven and Mithy just take down the Elder Dragon. Do not forget, that's a 4 elemental Drake Dragon for TSM.
We were wondering, in the mid-game, when 100 Thieves were making their huge comeback, how would TSM be able to right their stop calling? How would they be able to course correct for this game? But they've stabilized off of that Baron play, able to once again calmly pull out the objective play here as they cross-map it. They pick up their very easy Elder Dragon buff, and we cautioned against it last time, but this is a 4 elemental Drake buffed up Elder Dragon number 2 in the game. And 45.5 minutes in, we are now ready for the base siege.
All right, we'll see if 100 Thieves can protect these inhibitor turrets. Seems pretty unlikely, but they're going to give it a shot. 100 Thieves need to find their moment to look for a fight, but it is so tough versus this team.
Yep, just the Baron-empowered minions, the cannon minion there, chunking down the turret. Any sort of poke from Varus Q's lands, the true damage burn definitely goes a long way. And you can see TSM trying to work 2 lanes at once right now, once again with the Paranoia from Nocturne, allowing Grig to split.
But again, look at Someday threatening these flanks. He is such a problem if he sticks onto the back line.
Cannon minion doing its work. Hero number 1, they're able to finally get the open mid lane.
All right, they should get an inhib out of this as well. Top also weak, and bot has been split pushed in by Grig, who's ready at a moment's notice with his ultimate. Been pretty slow and steady here, as I think we expected from these two teams, but TSM may have found their window to try and ice out this game. It is not done yet, though.
Yep, they backdoor 2 hits off of that turret very easily with the Elder Dragon still active.
Here they go, Sven flashes into it! Afroman now gonna go in with a pole, but Mithy stops it again with a glacial fissure! He does go down, but the DA's gonna pop! Mithy though dead! And now the rest of the Thieves run in, Drink's gonna die as he tries to dive into the backline, as Haunter looking to try and peel off Someday, but the boss cannot be stopped! Sven dead to Someday! Haunter dead to the rest as Bjergsen flutters over! Someday gonna try and clean him up! It is so close to ace. 100 Thieves find a team fight win with their backs against their nexus.
What the hell kind of seesaw are we on? Pastry time! Another team fight goes the opposite direction here. Cody's son lands the arrow as Sven flashes away in distance, but still gets hit, and the shockwave from Ryu pulled him back in. Now it's 100 Thieves heading to the base, looking to end it with these death timers.
Danish Zillion versus the world. Gonna have to try and stave off these minions. Inhib number 1 in mid lane will be dealt with. No, actually topside maybe with the wave. They're gonna try and end the game. Don't have that long though. 100 Thieves maybe have to consider the consolation prize of 2 inhibs instead.
I mean, there's 18 seconds left on Haunter, 15 on Sven as well, so those 2 are gonna come up in time, but 2 inhibitors taken, and that is such a big toll that TSM have had to pay for that team fight. We are right back in it, Pastry time. Let's take another look. Again, the arrow from Cody's son, Sven, flashes in a straight line, still gets hit. Mithy does his best to feel for him, puts up the wall, but it doesn't matter as Ryu able to place the ball behind and pull off the shockwave. As you said afterwards, Someday on Sven right as soon as he revives, and he can't get him off.
Jackson lucky to escape that same fate. Someday misses that. Oh, it does hit that next one, but Zillion a little too speedy. Burns everything to get away, and we'll reset the map once more. Although TSM with 2 lanes of supers now threatening their Nexus turrets. Not so even on this map again.
Oh my God, not so even indeed. Let's take a look at the defensive vision being set up here though, because as we've seen during this game, it can turn in the moment's notice. Anyone gets picked off here out of position, they will be flown up and give a huge advantage over. Right now though, 100 Thieves aren't gonna let that happen. They group up as 5 around the mid lane and will finally take down the bottom outer turret.
Alrighty. Still behind in turrets after all that, but that should be changed in short order. Baron up in 35 if either team fancies a go. I think it's really just a team fight win or nothing as Grig is actually trying to push the supers away and then ulti over, although now he's got to run.
Yeah, I mean,
back towards Baron.
He's able to rotate up to the top side after they call the 100 Thieves movement through the jungle. TSM right now just looking to clear out the extra line of super minions. Everyone else moves on up to top side. But Baron comes up again. I've lost track what number this is.
I think 3.
But he's back, baby. 8 seconds left. Will spawn up there, so vision around that will become extremely important. 100 Thieves do have the extra inhibitor advantage, creating some more pressure on TSM to actually pull off the big play.
Wait, are we going to have as many Barons as Elder Dragons possibly in this game? I think if I'm remembering how many Barons I've been, that actually is correct. We'll see when it happens. Elder Dragon's still a while away. It is Baron that's back alive that teams have to worry about. 50 minutes through, 100 Thieves might even just say, you know what, we're in a team fight, the game's gonna be ours, so maybe we don't need this Baron to win, but we do need to win this fight. Gonna camp around this brush on top of the pink ward. TSM though, playing appropriately cautious.
Keep your eye on the arrow, Pastry time. Cody Sun looking for the initiation past these tanks onto one of the squishier members. Again, they're quite ready for it though.
Keeping Barons to the bot side though. TSM needs to get those supers away from the Nexus. That means 100 Thieves straight to the objective.
It's going to clear him out quickly, but again, you can burn down the Baron so quickly as 100 Thieves have stepped up to the plate.
I wonder if it's just a steal attempt again from Grigor. If TSM really want to start a fight, it's going to be Mithy caught first. Unbreakable's going to stop a lot of damage. He's going to live somehow. And Grig again in the backside's going to try and take down a carry. GA is going to burn over. Bjergsen also ready with the Resurrect, but there's no teammates around to save him. He actually does find the ulti, and Ryu's dead to Bjergsen. Grig responds with full health, but he's finally going to die to Someday. Bombs are going to stun up 2 in the front side, but it's only 4v4.
Yeah, the jungler's still alive for 100 Thieves, but with Ryu down, they've lost so much combat effectiveness. That doesn't matter. Teleport comes back out onto the field for TSM as Mithy swaps it over once again.
He might not have swapped to smite this game either, so I think Mithy can also maybe steal this if his spellbook is ready. But 100 Thieves are going to try it.
Burning it down right now. TSM stepping up there trying to stop.
Afro is such a good position. He's going to get the stun. 100 Thieves turn for the team fight, but TSM may have actually found an okay angle. Good cast from Haunter. Splits him into 4 pieces. Someday he's dead. They've killed the frontside tank, and that's going to be it, I think. 100 Thieves are going to go down under. He's going to fall. The GAs are going to at least buy a little bit more time. But a triple kill for Sven, make it a 4th as Mithy cleans up the last one. And TSM grabbed the ace.
In a game written by M. Night Shyamalan, TSM will get the Baron here, use the Baron-empowered recalls to save their base just in time.
Yep, Bjergsen has to go back. TSM can't even end the game off that ace. One Nexus turret's going to fall. But TSM will live to fight another day. Whose TP is that bot side?
Oh my God.
Sven, what are you doing? He TP'd and died to Ryu's shockwave. Now here's Haunter with the Baron down minions trying to offer the assist. But I don't think he can do it either. Teammates maybe respawning. Haunter gonna keep chasing it down. He's gonna take down Ryu. Ryu hands on head.
That's it. That's the game. They have Baron. They can win now.
All right. 15 seconds for Afro. Haunter though, let's score some minions in. The TP's maybe not so reckless. He's gonna try and cut it in. 100 Thieves, can they save this game, Kobe?
No.
All right, it doesn't look like it. TSM a little too strong. Precious seconds as Afro's finally back around, but they're just going to stop it. They'll take down the next, and TSM win a roller coaster to keep their playoff dreams alive.
One, two, three. TSM!
Speechless after that one.
I'm waterless after that one, almost. Many more bottles of water consumed than I thought necessary. What a game! To kick off our casting set here, Kobe, 52 plus minutes. But TSM make the decisive calls in the end. I thought those Tifus were crazy, but you knew better, Kobe. They knew they could end the game from that point, and that they did.
Never have I ever seen enough back and forth to end the game in this fashion.
All right, well, TSM will be happy. Their fans are too. I'll exchange high fives with the crowd. And 100 Thieves still showing that resilience that we've seen time and time again, but have to credit TSM for the controlled gameplay. It's the way they like to play in a lot of spots, despite how close it was in the mid to late game. They did make that style look good.
And look at the smiles on their faces. You gotta have fun when you experience a game like that. It is stressful, but when you come out with
That's the only way to cope, Kobe. Just keep smiling.
You gotta keep smiling in these situations. Keep your mental strong, keep your shot calling clear. No matter how many missteps have happened, no matter how many mistakes have happened.
All right, well, Ovely is standing by in for an interview with TSM's Chrono Breaker.
Thanks, guys. Bjergsen, congratulations on that win. It was such a back-to-back game. And I mean, what a dramatic ending. How good does it feel to pick up this win?
Oh, it feels really good. It's every win right now is super important for us to make it to playoffs, and especially this match against 100 Thieves might be our toughest, along with TL. So it's a really important match to win, and winning in this fashion makes it feel even better.
And TSM was looking a little bit better this weekend. Have you guys resolved your shot calling issues?
I'm not going to say resolve, but we are working on them. I think more so than our shot calling issues, it's mostly just kind of our trust and how we go in with our mentalities into each game. And Weldon came in this week, and it's been helping us a lot and kind of putting everyone on the same page and making us really trust each other through thick and thin in the game.
What exactly does he do or work with for your team?
It's hard. It's not just one thing. It's just the general atmosphere that he brings and everything he does pre-game and in practice, I think is very helpful. And I think it also helps Greg a lot, who's kind of a newcomer to the team. And I think it's helped John understand how much we trust him and how much faith we put in him. And I think this game, especially the first 15, 20 minutes, he carried really hard.
And speaking to the team mentality, Mithy said yesterday that he wants the players to be a little bit more open in expressing themselves. So how would you say the relationships are like between the players on TSM?
I think it's pretty good. We are really honest with each other. Recently, more honest than before. And I think it's important that we're open about kind of how we feel about our games and about our standings. Obviously, we weren't in a good position, but it's important to be vulnerable with your teammates so that I guess we just feel like we're all in the same boat and we can just put everything up on the stage to win.
And this was a pretty tough and close game against 100 Thieves. Is there anything that you'd like to say to your opponents?
Well played. Especially someday on the Mundo, he's just not killable. And he has Stoneplate on, and I thought that was supposed to make you do less damage, but he's still solo killing my AD carry, so Mundo doesn't seem very fair, but I guess we won somehow.
And last quick hit, we are entering the last week of the regular split. What are your thoughts?
I would like to win, and I would like to make it to playoffs. So another 2-0 week to give us confidence going into playoffs, I think would be really good for us.
Well, I'm wishing you the best of luck in that. Thank you. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Ovely. Big victory for TSM here to move to 8-8 and again keep their playoff hopes alive. We've brought Dokla onto the desk to help us make sense of this crazy game. It was just yesterday that I was saying the top of the table felt so determined, and then Echo Fox drops a game to you guys, and 100 Thieves goes and drops a game to TSM. Help me make sense of this one.
I'm sure Dokla not happy about this because it makes the match next week versus TSM even more important. But it was a crazy game because both comps were very, very similar, where you have tank tops, standard marksmen with engage options, frontline supports, and then utility mages. So it was very similar team comps, and the game was not explosive, and that means that they're going to play the same way mostly.
Yeah, and I feel like TSM, even though they lacked in damage, had a stronger early game and really had to clutch it out at the end of the game, because I think once it got around 40 minutes, even with all the Drakes they had stacked up, it looked like 100 Thieves was in control. So even though they may not maybe shouldn't have gotten to that position with their early game lead. They were able to end it. What a game.
There was a bit of a slow burn, as was expected with both of these teams through the early portions into the mid-game. Slight advantage towards TSM, but this is where I turn to you, Dokla, because it does seem that, in particular against 100 Thieves, teams struggle so much more to extend those small advantages. It's just a stubborn, stalwart defense out of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so 100 Thieves' playstyle is they don't accept just losing slowly. So if you're going to siege up on their tower, and they have engaged, they're gonna engage. And then this was played, I think 3 times, like in the mid, when they're defending tier 1. So here in the top lane, we're looking at.
This is both TSM side lanes getting pressure, and forcing an opportunity where now with the side lanes already down, they can push the waves in further and collapse onto 100 Thieves mid lane.
Yeah.
But to your point, Dokla, this is what, so TSM, with both side lane outers down, is very much looking towards pushing down that mid lane turret. It's not going to happen, though, for some time because of the way 100 Thieves is able to respond.
Right.
Yes.
And after all this, it looked like they had set up a push for mid lane, but what does 100 Thieves do?
So 100 Thieves, so right as TSM is going to look to siege up on this tower, they have Ash Arrow, Alistar Flash Engage coming. So as this tower gets low, Aframu just doesn't want to give this tower, and he goes in, and Ash Arrow comes flying, and they're able to defend this tower for a little bit longer. And then they'll keep defending the tower again and again until TSM eventually gets it, but they don't give it for free.
Yeah, because that's essentially a 5v3. And I feel like most teams would say it's too risky to defend this turret 5v3. Just give it up.
Right.
But that's one of the things that actually keeps 100 Thieves in all these long games.
Yeah, that's really 100 Thieves' playstyle, and this is played throughout the whole game.
Is that something that even within your own team, you guys are practicing, the idea of understanding or talking about, hey, how do we defend a turret or engage just enough? What tools do we use to force somebody off, but without over-committing to the fight, as could easily be done?
I think Aframu's experience on this, as he's played for several years now, helps him understand like what he can commit and how much is just enough to fend them off the tower. So I think this his veteran experience helps him a lot there.
Very much so. So they defend that turret for some time, but then we dive into the crazy back and forth that was this entire game. So let's roll some gameplay here and talk through it, gentlemen.
Yeah, what started as a really slow game, turned around quickly, and this is where it felt like, at this point, TSM had sort of been outscaled after starting out with a sizable 2,000 gold lead for about 20 minutes that stalled out. 100 Thieves get a little too over-eager around the Baron buff. They've used a lot of cooldowns at this point, and they get poked off the Baron. And during this time, they have side waves pushing for TSM. So TSM says, all right, it's our turn to start the Baron, but this opens them up to the TP counterplay.
Yeah, and this was another thing that you can just do with Kindred to flash in and delay the smite, and it gives you that extra 2 to 3 seconds to make it in for a fight, and it's Ryu's Shockwave that actually really crushes this fight open. It's hard for Bjergsen to be in a position where he can safely Zillion ult while remaining alive. He does a pretty good job, but this is really... What's funny about the start of this clip is I wasn't sure if this was the final Baron or the Baron that was 20 minutes prior to the final Baron, because that's how much...
Oh, we got a lot more replays coming, Jack.
We got a ton more replays coming, but there was a situation where we reached a state in the game where I believe it was said by one of you that if 100 Thieves plays around their cooldowns properly from this point forward, they feel like they have the better comp and total control.
Yeah, so 100 Thieves makes a really good engage here mid, where they don't want just TSM with the Baron buff to split them. And the fight ensues here, and you just see Someday just 1v3 in the back line, and he's gonna kill Sven here in the end. And right now, TSM just doesn't have enough damage, simply because I think Sven was a little delayed on his IE build, and Rage Relay wasn't fully complete yet.
And then this was the exact play we're talking about. Yeah. You need to fight around their cooldowns. 100 Thieves start Baron without Kindred buff up, and so with a bomb on him, Nocturne's able to solo out the Kindred, and this is the fight that allows TSM to get back into the game, because up until now, you can just still see how hard it is to kill Mundo, but if you've killed the enemy AD carry already, or the mid laner, it's suddenly much easier.
Now there's a difference of 15 seconds, and then here they have Baron. Well, Baron had just expired. They have Elder with 4 Elemental Drakes, but when your AD carry gets hit by the Ash Arrow, one shot into GA, and then Code right after, you're going to have a bad
And this is just on 100 Thieves' decisive play of where they just want to engage right away. So Havermoo has no hesitation. He's going to flash in, and the fight just ends up being really well for them.
Once again, 100 Thieves with the base defense. All right, we're kind of back to a more even state. Jat, what's happening, though?
Fighting without cooldowns! So 100 Thieves wants to go for it, but Ryu is also dead, and there is now a Rage Blade, i.e. Varus, who can max stack in the back of the fight. Beautiful Gragas barrel.
Look at this damage.
And somebody did not expect to die that fast because Varus was an unseen point of power prior to that fight.
But if you look at the bottom of your screen, look who has ults available on the side of 100 Thieves. It's literally nobody. And Zilean, in a fight, if you're going to take another one 30 seconds later, will have his ult available. And the fact that Haunter didn't use his either in the previous skirmish, it's just one of those things where if 100 Thieves were tracking cooldowns a little bit better, I don't think they're forcing Barons when the enemy team has ultimates up on you.
It's that whole idea of windows of opportunity, right? And so for TSM to recognize that, hey, if we give them the time for their ultimates to come back up, we will continue to lose those fights straight up. We have to weave smaller engagements in between or get them when they don't have their full 5v5 comp in one spot.
Thoughts on Sven's damage?
Yeah, I mean, Someday did more damage than his AD carry, but Sven did a lot, yeah. So.
I mean, I think it's an important note, though, too, Jat, the idea that Sven's damage in that final fight far exceeded anything he was able to output prior to that, in part because of some wonkiness around his build. He bought 2 BF swords. The old iEdge build path ended up having to sell one in order to complete his iEdge, and then the Rage Blade was the final item in his build to be completed.
Yeah, I mean, well, about all those replays had Someday running down Sven the entire time, and Sven's kiting out pretty well, and so you're probably, each of those fights, dealing about 5,000 damage to Amundo because he's regenning so much up.
Yeah.
So those could be some big damage numbers.
All right, well, Sven's damage per minute was the highest of any player this split. Just confirmed that in my ears. So, you know, that's pretty impressive to say the least. And for TSM to move to 8-8, I think, again, we return to that conversation around the race for playoffs. Optic and TSM right now, you're going to tee up against them at the beginning of week 9. It just continues to get more crazy here in the North American LCS when we think things are finally narrowing in on something more set in stone and concrete.
Yeah, we had spent a lot of time looking at all the possible tiebreak scenarios, and we're like, well, with that win with Optic, they actually set themselves up super well, and it puts the pressure on TSM to find an upset win.
Right. It also makes it possible that we can have a team at 9 wins still have to play a tiebreaker to make it to the playoffs. Like, I didn't necessarily think it would be possible before this game, or before the day, because I think Optic has to beat Echo Fox for this to happen, TSM has to beat 100 Thieves for this to happen. Both those things happened, so all the teams that are like 7th to 5th that were tied are all actually just winning all of their games. So 9 is not a magic number for playoffs as of yet.
No, definitely not. And just the idea that, you know, 100 Thieves sitting at 10-6, Echo Fox at 9-7, these are now teams that have to be concerned with their final seeding when it comes to playoffs, right? I mean, there's many teams in reach of tying these guys up and could even threaten taking a playoff bye off of one of them. Dokla, any thoughts as we narrow in on the last week of the LCS and this continuing to develop craziness and how you as a player and team are dealing with that?
Well, yeah, so this is my rookie year, so, you know, I haven't really faced anything like this before, but it's going to be an exciting week, and I think our match against TSM will probably be just match of the week, because I feel like TSM's brand of always making playoffs, well, not making finals now, but, you know, like, I think everyone's just going to root for TSM, well, Optic just, like, we're just going to come out swinging too.
All right, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Dokla, for joining us. Up next, Freak Contracts, and definitely we'll be bringing you Liquid versus Cloud9 from the NALCS Lounge on Riot Games 2. You won't want to miss it.
Kendra's bot, you guys should be able to hit top.
What's your ulti range?
It's in range, it's in range.
Or block down. Ah, block down.
That's the best.
I got it. There's this Zilean ulti. There's his dead, he's done bad. Come on, help me. Help. Nocturne. Bear's no flash.
I'm going better.
We can keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Go mid. Watch me, my combo. For him.
Coming.
Nelly, just go Nelly.
Slowly. Come on, Mundo, slowly. Go, Mundo.
I'm slowing him.
Kill. Nice. Bear's still flash. You win that. Go on, Ash. Nice.
Speeding us.
Nice. In the base. Zilean back. Zilean back. Now.
But I don't think he can do it either. Teammates maybe respawning. Horns are going to keep chasing it down. He's going to take down Ryu. Ryu, they're going to do it. That's it. That's the game. They have Baron. They can win now.
Welcome to Level Up, presented by State Farm.
Everybody knows the elemental Drake buffs are invaluable, so we want to share some tips on strategizing around a specific winged beast. If the Ocean Drake is first to spawn, make plans to grab it pre-10 minutes, so your laners have the advantage of gaining 10% missing health and mana every 18 seconds. Manage to pick up a couple more Oceans, and your team is set up for an endless siege, where the waves of health and mana regen make basing a thing of the past.